Welcome. Scott here. Here is a quick boss guide for the upcoming Intersecting Wills, Ambition for Aranea from Final Fantasy XV. The event marks the debut of Aranea's FR and she will be getting her C90 Awakenings and a rework. She is the last unit in Global to get the C90 Awakening. The event synergy units are Aranea, Cait Sith, Fran Celes. All event characters will be getting their force enhancements. We will be fighting 2 Midgardsormr which has 95 million each. There are no major resistances. The turn requirement is 65. The HP requirements is 8000. Before I continue further, here is a small disclaimer clause for the video. The guide is written based on the time that the event was released for the Japanese version. Please do note that it is possible that the boss fight mechanics might differ when the actual event is released in Global. Like most other Shinryu fights, the boss gains increased brave damage and gain resistances at start of the fight and 79% HP threshold. Bringing a support like Lunafreya, Charlotta, Aerith, Ramza, Selfa that grants damage boosting aura will make your fight easier. As the boss gains substantial boost to their defenses with the auras, it is important to inflict debuffs that lower their defenses. For this month, 5 of the events will feature a form of elemental lockout. This is the only fight for the month where you don't have any elemental lockout. However, the boss will gain 999% brave and HP damage resistance when they harden their defensives. You can still bypass this with brave cap damage or rainbow, brave gains mechanics like Cait Sith or Charlotta, or brave retention mechanics like Snow BT. On the screen, I have listed down the examples of the key utility that you can consider for this fight. To remove the auras that are gained from the hardened defenses trigger, it is important to bring a critical attacker or unit that can guarantee critical hits for the party. Examples of critical attackers are Tifa, Cloud and Aranea. Examples of units that guaranteed critical hit for the party are Lily Set, Sisnei, Siz, Cait Sith, Barret and Kais. Aranea's Vital Crusher debuff will guarantee any brave hits deal to the boss to be critical hits. Do note that critical is not the same as ignore defense, brave cap damage or rainbow. You need to ensure that you dispel the aura before you reach the 60% force gauge threshold or the boss will heal back 20% of its max HP, thus making the fight unwinnable. Do note that the time when you dispel the aura, the boss will still have 999% brave and HP damage resistance and their brave cannot drop below 1. You can still bypass them with instant break ability. Example of units that can instant break or force break are Trey, Prompto, Arthen, Gabrinth, Strago, Chaos, and the twins, Lon and Ren. The boss can inflict annoying debuffs with its core basic attacks. You can prevent them with debuff evasion, or cleanse them if your party got inflicted. Example of debuff evasion units is Aerith, Lena, Aphma and Ignis. Selfa's Wall offers a decent chance of debuff evasion at 70% as well. The boss force ability can dispel your buffs if it breaks your unit. Units that offer break immunity are Core, Ursula, and Yang. As long as you have means of dealing critical hits, the standard strategy of delay and launch with follow-up attackers will allow you finish the fight easily. You can also solo this fight with a fully geared Celes with Siscall. As we are no longer have Lufania Plus fights, the boss guide will be focused primarily on Shinryu fights. In Shinryu, you need to understand the effects gained by the boss as the force gauge build up, its force ability and its force time effect. As your party has low force levels, it is highly certain that the boss force gauge will build up faster than yours. To have a better understanding on the basics of the force gauge mechanics and Shinryu fights, I have done a video explaining the mechanics. I have included the link to the video under the comments and video description for your quick reference. Throughout the fight, the boss will gain boost to its force gauge filling. It will fill by 0.1% when your party member act. The boss force gauge is broken into 2 thresholds. When the boss gauge is more or equal to 30%, both bosses will enter into hardened defenses stance where it will start to emit a red aura. The aura will grant the bosses 999% brave and HP damage resistances. Their brave cannot be dropped to below 1. However, you can still break them with instant break abilities. Dealing critical brave damage to the boss will dispel the hardened defense stance. When the boss gauge is more or equal to 60%, there will be two different scenarios depending on whether the boss still have the red aura. If the boss doesn't have the red aura, the boss will trigger hardened defense similar to the 30% force gauge threshold. If the boss still retain the red aura, the Midgardsormr boss will trigger refreshed and recovered phase where it will cleanses all debuffs and recovers 20% of its max HP, which equates to 19 million HP. Triggering this will most likely foil your run. The boss force gauge will build up faster as its HP is lowered. You can refer to the table on the screen for the percentages. At the 100% threshold, the boss will use its force ability, SPEW++, and activates its force time for 4 turns. The boss force ability, SPEW++, will result the boss deal an AoE brave damage. If the attack breaks any target, it will dispel all target buffs. Upon using the force ability, the boss will enter into its force time where the gauge will start to emit a red hue with a counter of 4 on its gauge. When the force time is activated, the bosses will gain an enhancement that results non-force ability facing 9999% brave and HP damage resistances. To bypass this, you need to activate your force time. To cancel the enemy's force time effects, you need to use a ranged force ability that inflict a debuff, which is Aranea FR. Titus FR and Fujin FR can work if you equip them with a debuffing sphere. Now let's go through the fight key mechanics. To be honest, the fight doesn't have any key mechanics to watch out for. The boss will start off SPEW and uses Injure twice before going to SPEW again. If its brave is high, it will use Bite as its key HP attack. SPEW is an AoE magic brave attack that inflicts poison for 3 turns. Poison will drain brave off that based on 40% of the affected target's initial brave. Injure is a single target melee brave attack that inflicts a framed HP poison debuff called Snake Wound for 3 turns. The HP poison will scale off 40% of the inflictor's initial brave and trigger after every affected target or the inflictor's turn. The effect can only be dispelled after the debuff is cleansed or you kill the boss that inflict the debuff. Here are some tips that I can offer for the fight. Do note that the turn that you deal critical damage will result you to dispel the aura, but you will still do minimum damage until the aura is gone. Try to space some turns so you have the turn to break the boss on the following turn, or you use an instant break attack to ensure the boss is broken. You can also make use of Brave Control utility to ensure boss brave is constantly low. Always maintain critical hit rate buff up on the party, or ensure Aranea's Vital Crusher debuff is up on the boss if you are using her. Aranea's base call offers the Vital Crusher debuff. You can avoid the debuffs with debuff negation, Ragin, Reno, debuff evasion, Aerith, Lena, Afma, Ignis, or debuff cleansing if you got inflict with the debuffs, Yuna, Pernello, Mog. As the debuff is not guaranteed hit, you can also evade with party evasion like Edge or Redia. Avoid getting broken by the boss force ability, or any broken targets will get their buffs dispelled. Lastly, a fully geared Celes can solo this fight with his call. We have come to the last part of the guide. To cancel the boss force time, the recommended FR units for this fight are Aranea. You can also cancel the boss force time with Titus FR and Fujin FR if they are equipped with a debuffing E-sphere. Dealing critical hit damage is important here to dispel the red aura that the boss gains from its hardened defenses stance. Make sure that the hardened defenses stance are dispelled when the force gauge reaches 60%. You won't want to trigger the refreshed and recovered phase. You can make the boss debuffs a non-threat with debuff evasion, or debuff negation utility. You can also cleanse the debuffs with debuff cleansers if your party got inflicted by it. Depending on your party, the turn count can be tight. You won't want to go a prolonged period of turns where you cannot deal any damage. Before I end the guide, let's cover a bit on the featured FR unit. On the surface, Aranea FR seems to geared to her own utility, but actually it is a great FR that helps rebreakers and off-turn breaks a lot. Let's go through the force conditions. You will gain 40% HP damage bonus when you delay an enemy. Delay result from breaks also count to the condition. Aranea can meet this condition easily with her skills. Units that can benefit from this are Cloud of Darkness, Vayne, Emperor, Garland, Quistis, Sync, and Chaos. Off-turn breaks triggered from traps or counters when boss acts also fulfill this condition, since the boss will get their turn delayed those attacks triggered. Dealing critical brave damage will grant 30% HP damage bonus. Aranea Vital Crusher debuff will guarantee any brave hit landed on the target to be critical. For debuff immune boss fights, you can fulfill this easily with units that have innate guaranteed critical chance like DFFOO, or bring party critical rate buffers like Lily Set, Cais, Cait Sith, Barret, Sisnei and Kais. You can abuse this FR by using Sephiroth BT Aura, since his BT Aura which allows you to gain free breaks off turn with a follow-up attacker like Kain or Yang for a massive total of 110% bonus per turn. With this, I have come to the end of my boss guide presentation. Hopefully you find it useful. If you like the video, please give a like. Please subscribe to my channel for future gaming content. Good luck for the fight in the coming hours. Bye.